Well, thank you. Good morning, everybody. You know, however much our opponents and those in the establishment that don't want UKIP to succeed, however much they try to characterise us and portray us as being a narrow, small-minded, nasty group of people, anybody that was at our spring conference in Margate and anybody that is watching on today can only conclude that UKIP is probably the most open, inclusive and eclectic party in British politics. Going back to the beginning of UKIP, immigration was an issue we didn't even talk about. When I was elected in 1999 to the European Parliament, we didn't even discuss the issue. Why? Because we'd come out of 50 years of a managed, balanced approach to immigration in this country, where during that 50-year period, between about 20 and some years up to 50,000 people net had come into the United Kingdom. It was manageable in terms of numbers, and it was actually a very great success in terms of integration. And we could proudly say, those few years back, that of all the countries in Europe, Britain had dealt with immigration better than any of our neighbours. But since that time, some big mistakes have been made. Big mistakes for the Labour government, and big mistakes as a result of our membership of the European Union, where we opened up the door unconditionally to 10 former communist countries. I don't blame any young people that want to leave those countries and come to Britain to better their lives. My concern is the impact that it's had on British workers and British families here, and I think the change that it's led to within our communities. So it's perhaps no wonder that now 77% of the British public want us to take back border controls, and that actually it is only UKIP that is prepared honestly to deal with this situation and to offer a positive solution. The others would rather not discuss it at all. The fact is we cannot have a managed immigration policy and continue to be members of the European Union where we have an open door to up to 500 million people. What we want to do is to change our relationship with the European Union, take back control of our borders and put in place a positive immigration policy, one that the people of Britain would overwhelmingly support, and by that I mean we want an Australian-style point system to decide who comes to live, work and settle in this country. We're asking to do what normal countries all over the world do. You know, we've gone from about 30,000 people a year net to the figures that we saw last week of 300,000. And there are very good reasons why the people of this country are now deeply unhappy with that situation. The impact on schools, the current accident and emergency crisis that we've seen this winter in our hospitals, the changes that have happened within our communities. And also just think on this, in what is already the most crowded country in Europe, the fact that we have to build one new dwelling every 7 minutes just to cope with current rates of immigration. And above all, I think what's been felt by millions of ordinary, decent working families is wage compression, an unlimited supply of unskilled labour that has made for many people the minimum wage, in effect, the maximum wage. Now, I know that there have been beneficiaries of open-door immigration, and many big businesses have increased their profits by keeping wages artificially low. And I know that it's been a boon for the rich, because if you're very wealthy, open-door immigration means cheaper nannies, cheaper chauffeurs and cheaper gardeners. But the vast majority of British people want change. They want us to control not just the quantity, but also, crucially, the quality of who comes into this country. We want to do as the Australians do. We want sensible, controlled numbers of people to come to this country but people that have got skills and trades that will benefit this nation. People who have not got a criminal record, people who have not got a life-threatening illness, and people who, when they come, bring with them medical insurance and do not qualify for state benefits until they've been in the country for 5 years and contributed to the system. In fact, I would call this a common-sense immigration policy that would greatly benefit the people of this nation, and that is what we're going to campaign on. We don't want mass immigration to continue on its current rate, and we certainly don't need vast amounts of unskilled labour coming into this country. We need better controls over our borders. The border agency itself needs beefing up, and our immigration spokesman, Stephen Wolfe, this morning will lay out more of those plans. And we'd like to establish a Migration Control Commission, given a remit to make sure that lower numbers happen in all areas of people coming in net to this country. We are the only party in British politics that is going to talk and address honestly an issue that is for most people their #1 concern in British politics. And perhaps it's no wonder that a recent opinion poll showed that we are now the most trusted party in British politics to deal with this issue. We're really arguing for a policy that is fairer and a policy that is actually more ethical. Because what we're currently doing is we are discriminating against skilled people that come from countries like India or New Zealand. We're discriminating against the Commonwealth and the rest of the world in favour of a continuing open door to southern and eastern Europe. This policy will be fairer. And this policy will also benefit hugely British working families. My family were migrants. In fact, I think in modern parlance they would be refugees. They were Protestants from France. And in fact, they represented at the time what was one of the biggest migrations ever into this country. 50,000 of them came. But they came over the course of 100 years. And perhaps we could move on to the early 1970s, when there was a big debate in Britain about could we accommodate the Ugandan Asians, the people that Amin was threatening to kill. A big debate. Could we accommodate 28,000 people? And we did. And they turned out to be one of the most successful migrant groups ever to come to this country. But last year, over 600,000 people settled in this country. We as a party hold no prejudice against anyone on the grounds of their nationality, their religion or their race. But we are calling for a return to sanity. Britain needs to take back control of her borders, control of her immigration policy, and let us turn what has become a negative in our society into a positive. Only UKIP will argue for that in this general election. Thank you.